Alright. Hello and welcome to MTA number 5 for the 21st of July 2018. It's July, yes. And today we got a couple of topics. My name is Mosen, welcome, and today we are going to talk about toilet brushes. Yes, toilet brushes indeed. And I'll give you the first part of my gold farming tips, and that will probably be it for this one. 2 topics. Since my pizza's in the oven and we want to do AQ20 soon, and I thought just get a quick one out. So yeah, today's topic number 1, a serious note, a rant, if you will. And after that, some gold farming tips. That's gonna be the first of my tips, because I get a lot of questions from guildies like, well, we need flask, and I don't know how to make money. I'll make a video series about my gold farming tips, a separate thing, but also you're gonna find them here in the MTA, so that they are actually useful. Let's talk about the brushes, right? Imagine, what do I mean by brushes? Toilet brushes. What do I mean? Actually, you could also say,
Bobby, yes. I'm looking for someone to take control of this disgusting, embarrassing mess. He doesn't give a fuck. He's dreaming. He's standing there pissing his pants looking for his tartar, caviar, white chocolate crap. And he's just running around like a toilet brush. Is anyone going to take control?
how to be a good raider, or how to be a not shit raider, right? And this sounds really negative and evil, right? And evil. And usually what people think is probably that raid leaders are these evil guys sitting in their big chairs with, stroking their cat and with an evil laugh when they can take someone's loot away or call someone out. But it's often not the case. Some people sit here in underwear and just try to lead a raid. Why I want to talk about this is I've been guildmaster and raid leading for I think 3 years now, and after 3 years you've seen a lot. And I know there's people that have probably raid led more than I have, less than I have. Not saying that I'm the big shit or anything. I just want to share what I've seen with people that might be either new to vanilla or to WoW in general. I don't know, maybe this helps someone else out. And I want to tell you guys what simple things you can do to not become a toilet brush. Because the brushes are the problem in raids. Oh yes. Let me give you an example. We're at Velstras, right? And if you know the boss of Velstras, then you know that once you can wipe on him because someone accidentally, he said, didn't know he had the bomb, didn't run out of the raid, right? So he nuked the whole raid. That can happen, okay. It's a bit brushy, but alright, right? So we went in and said, okay, can happen. And we pulled again. So we're all getting ready, and if you know the fight Velstras, then you know that the boss is gonna stand there in front of the raid. You can get pretty close, but you just can't touch him, right? He's there, but you can't touch him. If you do, then counter starts. So everyone's getting position, buffing up. As I see, I just noticed a certain mage jumping around, getting awfully close to the boss, and he starts, he's bored because we're checking if people have big wigs and stuff, because we had some fresh raiders. And he starts jumping around and like mages do, right? Spam AoE a bit, right? Not just minding their own business. And boom, all of a sudden the boss is engaged, and we try to save the situation, but it's too late. And luckily I had the stream on, and I was asking, okay, that was a pretty shit move, everyone was pretty pissed. Who was that? So no response. So I checked the stream, I found out who it is. And of course the person denies it. That's also something I said, like, you can tell me now if you did it. It's no problem. Before I find out, right? Just tell me you did it, and it's gonna be fine. It's growing some balls and saying, hey, I fucked up, sorry. That can happen to everyone, right? Could happen to me. I don't know. I go AFK and auto walk into the boss. You never know what can happen. But not saying anything, that's a good example of being a toilet brush, if you know what I mean. And if you're a raid lead, or not even a raid lead, if you are a raider that, you know, bothered to, it goes a bit deeper. There's sometimes in raids like 20, 25, 30, 40 people that actually bother to go and get world buffs out in the world. Those are buffs that you have to clear a dungeon, and then you talk to, you know, a guy at the end, basically, and you run through the dungeon then. And it takes a lot of time, and you get really strong buffs, right? But if you die, those buffs are gone. Not to speak of hundreds of gold of consumables. And if 40 man consumable up, that's a whole bunch of gold, you know. And you know, if you decide to just not give a shit, there's a common thing that wasting people's time is like the biggest insult you can give to them. And there's certain players that you know, manage to get their world buffs every week for every raid, again and again, and they are actually using a lot of their own time in advance to the raid so that it goes smoother for everybody. And they're popping a lot of consumables that they farmed in their own time beforehand. So if you are at bosses, right, and you decide to be the guy that just didn't pay attention at the boss because there's a fucking big skull above your head, you didn't notice it. You're getting 5 spam whispers from people that have an add-on that tell you, hey, you're a fucking bomb, get out of the raid. And your name's being called out on disc, but you had your music too loud, right? You're too busy playing with your whatever, and all of a sudden you bomb the raid. And you know, for you, it's then sometimes you get the reaction when chill, it's just a game, right? Am I right, guys? It's just a game. Sure, it's just a game, but you wasted some people's time in real life. So yeah, it's a game, but you wasted people's time. And reacting like a true brush is basically the worst you could do. And some people actually think that's funny if they, you know, they're I don't know if they're embarrassed or anything, but sometimes they think that's funny when 39 people died and they wasted basically an hour for times 39, that's 39 hours, and gold, I don't know, everyone pops 20 gold of, I don't know, one try, whatever, 30 gold of consumables, 30 times 39, you can calculate that yourself. So the second tip for not being a toilet brush is probably install some sort of boss add-on. Check with your guild lead, a raid lead, what add-ons do I need to have? There's certain people that, you know, come to me when they're new, or to our co-raid lead or anyone else, any officer, and they're asking, what add-ons do I have to have? I don't want to fuck up, right? And there's some people, oh, my gear isn't good enough, I don't want to come yet. And we tell them, it's fine, you can come, it's no problem. But those are the things you should do. Ask before, what do I need? So that you don't fuck up, right? And if you have questions about bosses, ask the raid lead. Every raid lead will be happy to explain it again. As long as you are not saying, I didn't know, you know, I wiped raid now, but I didn't know, right? It's nothing I could have done. So that's another thing, right? So ask what's going on. That's always better than wiping the raid and then saying, oh, well, I didn't know. Because there's also a certain kind of human being, I guess, that there's these certain players, so we like to call them LFR raiders, right? They come into a raid, they don't tell you they don't know anything. You ask, like, everything clear? Okay, let's go. You start a boss, and then after that they fuck up completely, and you say, well, why didn't you ask? And it's like, you brought me, it's your responsibility to explain this to me. And no, it's certainly not, right? You are an idiot. You didn't tell anybody, and all you have to do, there's people like officers and raid leads that are busting their ass off, right? They're just fucking doing everything after the raid, before the raid. They they manage a whole Discord server, websites, raid signups, raid rosters, guilds, ranks, have an open ear for every problem of every person in the fucking guild. 240 people. And some people have the nerve to say that you know, it's our fault that they wiped the raid because we didn't wipe their ass and ask if everything is clear for them, and they couldn't say, well, I don't know how this works. So these are like, you know, all you have to do is get in the raid, and you're being carried. So some people still have the nerve to you know, say that it's the raid's fault for not telling them what's going on. So you get where I'm going with this, right? That's what we call in the guild. This has become like the meme. You've probably seen it before. It's brushy behavior, right? These are like toilet brushes that you don't want to have. Another good example is people that get pissy if you tell them to enchant their stuff. We literally had people, they couldn't take the heat, right? It was too much for them, telling them, hey, you got Shadow Flame Staff 2 weeks ago. Do you mind maybe enchanting it? Because otherwise we would have given it to the other guy that was a recruit, but now he's shown to be maybe a bit more competitive than you. And some people can't even take that heat. And look, people aren't asking you, no one in the raid, none of the raiders that have been there for a long time are asking you to enchant your cloth boots of the whale with fucking 100 spell damage for 1000 gold. But you can show some effort, right? There's really cheap enchants. You go and check what's the most expensive enchant and the best enchant, and then you go below that from there, right? For example, you don't need to get 7 agility on your green cloth boots if you're a new rogue, right? But you could get 5 on it, and 5 is really, really cheap. And then, boom, all of a sudden, people see that you actually care about the raid, and that you're not a dickhead that tries to snatch some loot. Yes. So, that's a tip number 3 for how to not piss off the people in the raid that have been in the guild for quite some time. Get your stuff enchanted, right? Ask people, hey, what can I do to improve? Can you check me out? Right? That's a simple thing to do. Can you check me out? What can I improve? Check what you can do, and ask them what add-ons you need to get, or what boss mods or whatever. Okay. Yes, the brushes are definitely a problem, especially when you think that someone has gear sometimes, right? I mean, we've had everything, and we had full tier 3 priests at Patchwork that you were wondering, why are you out of mana at like 70% of the boss? And he's like, well, I'm not. What are you talking about? Blah, blah, blah. I'm fine. Well, don't talk to me, right? And he was, I still have mana. And then the druid goes, well, I innervated you and you didn't even notice it, right? And that's also, you can clearly see what I mean with people that are just ridiculous. It's sometimes, it's funny actually to talk about. That's why we had this meme, right? And sometimes it can be funny at sometimes, but it can also be really, really frustrating sometimes. Anyway, I hope this was a good heads up. Tip 4 to not be a toilet brush is probably this website. You're probably going to see it right here. And on this website, believe it or not, you can type in anything that you're looking for, searching, quests, enchants, anything. And what it does is it's a database, and it shows you a lot. So if I don't know, maybe some people are enchanters that are watching this, and if you've ever been asked, like you're doing stuff, and then if you've been asked, can you post the mats for this enchant? Sure thing, here it is, right? But after you've been asked for like the 700th time, you don't find that so funny anymore. And where can I find this? What is this? Where can I find talent tree, right? And where's this NPC? Hey, can you please get this enchant? Well, how do I get it? And then it gets frustrating. Just bookmark this site, and it's gonna help you a lot. Right. So I hope that's some good tips, right? I hope that's some good tips. Aside from that, always keep there's a couple of things that you should never remove from your bag, and that's the Anchorage mount, right? That's also tip 7. I believe it was 5, 6, and 7. So tip 5 is never remove the Anchorage mount from your bags. Tip 6 is never remove the Onyxia neck from your bag that grants you entrance to the Onyxia lair. And tip number 7 would be, what was it? There's 3 things. Oh yeah, the Oni Scale Cloak, of course, for Nefarian. And by the way, you need an Oni Scale Cloak to do Nefarian, otherwise you'll die. There's no way to avoid it. That's also a pretty brushy move if you go in there and you don't have it and you didn't ask. And you just go along with the ride. Yes, aside from that, don't be AFK in raids and listen up, especially at Toon and Twins trash, right? That pisses people off immensely if you're AFK there. So I hope those are really good tips. Maybe this is the first of the series of how to not be a toilet brush. Alright, but before we go into the next topic, I forgot something that is very, very important. There's certain things that are called raid times, right? Raid times are a thing where people get together to raid. And usually there's a certain raid time where invites go out, right? And that's always a good time to join the Discord, TeamSpeak, whatever you're using nowadays. And you know, there's always certain people that you always have to remind, and for some reason, weirdly enough, it's always the same people that you have to call out to please join the Discord. And that's also a really good tip. There's a raid time, and you can get into the Discord at the same time when you get invited to the group. There's usually a meeting point for some guilds, and it's always good to be on that meeting point and finding out where that is, right? So that's also a good sign to show people that you are actually a person that's interested in raiding and not AFK 24/7. In general, I think the AFK part came a little bit too short. So in general, like if you're in a raid situation, don't turn up your music to 1000 so you can actually hear calls being made. Nothing's more embarrassing really than being called out. Are you on Discord? Yeah, you know, no response 5 times. Then you write it in the chat. Hey, are you on Discord? What's the problem? Yeah, I'm on Discord. What do you want? Right? And then obviously you're not on Discord, or actually you're not listening. So that's also a really good tip from me to some people maybe, that you can actually, you know, not crank up your music to 1000 and listen to the calls that are being made. And that will help you immensely in receiving loot at the end. That's also a good tip. Just if it's not even done for other people, it's actually maybe done for you, for yourself, in a way so that you can receive loot in the end, right? Think about that. The less brushy you are, the less of a toilet brush you are, the more loot you get. And sometimes people think, oh, this guy makes me, he's forcing me, right? And this guy is being a complete douchebag. He's so negative and such a bad... Blah, 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 blah. But actually, these people just want a smooth raid because they've done it for thousands of times. And sometimes they don't even want anything bad for your health or for your gameplay or anything. They just want to help you get better, believe it or not. And in the end, if you just play along once or twice, you'll actually receive loot and see that things go more smoothly if you listen. That should be enough for the toilet brushes. I hope you can avoid it. But yeah, there's been an awful lot lately, so it's gotten better, much better now. But yeah, my favorite is just AFKing at Twins Trash when you get the flag and you basically infect everyone next to you, and then one person, and it's usually people that you already knew. you know the names at some point, and people just stand there and they would just fucking wipe the whole raid. And if you've ever been in AQ40, you know that hurts. If you just didn't happen to have any wipe protection up and everybody has to run there again, and if you then get a bit pissy, if these people get a little bit pissy, then some people actually lose their shit, because there's also people that get the plague, just run out and run back in. There are these superheroes. Maybe ask them, they have a tip or two. Okay. Then it is time for Mosen's gold farming tips, and that is the number 1. This is like one of my favorite gold farming spots in the game. It's a pretty chill spot. It's the Winterfall Hold, I believe it is called. It's basically the Furbolgs northeast of Everlook. So basically just leave the Alliance flight point or the Horde flight point to the east. And then you'll find basically a bastion of furbolgs that you can grind for echoes. And the echoes drop all over Winterspring, which is a pretty cool thing because you can combine that if you need any other echoes. Also, tip from before, go to Classic DB, type in echo, E. I think it's you just go Frostmaul, Frostsaber, or just type in KO, and you'll find all the different sorts of echoes, and you can turn them in at an NPC in Everlook, and they actually give you pretty cool stuff. And the specific echo that these NPCs are dropping, the Winterfall furbolgs, are the Winterfall echoes, obviously. And you can trade those in for the Juju power. And the Juju power is a consumable that basically every melee or every melee needs, tanks even. And they increase the strength by 30 for 30 minutes. So that is a really, really cool Juju to farm because it always goes, from the start of the server until the end, the very end. A lot of people need it, so this is a really good income source if you really don't know where to go, and it's a pretty chill environment. And the best thing is, and now here's the kicker, that you can get together with like 10 people in a raid group, and you can farm and slaughter those things, and if one echo drops, everyone can loot it. And that is the coolest thing about it. Another good thing is that these furbolgs drop Winterfall Firewater. Now those increase attack power, but for a relatively short time. If you love to have that, then you can pop it yourself if you can have a use for it. I used to always sell the waters and farm the Jujus for myself. I happen to be a melee, and the waters always went for 3 gold on our server. So I, when I had like 10 of those, I just sold all of them for 3 gold and had 30 gold and had my Jujus farmed for the week. Or for the next 2 weeks, and they actually drop pretty well, so you don't have to go there all the time. Along with grays, greens, cloth, you name it. There's a lot of other stuff that drops. On the very top of the bastion, there's the Winterfall Chieftain. He has a respawn timer of 5 minutes, so you can camp in, and he has, I think, almost or 100% guaranteed chance to drop a Winterfall Firewater. So camping that one is a good thing. There's also herbs and mining stuff around in that bastion. So if you are a miner or a herbalist, that is also a very good tip for you. So yeah, that is gold farming tip number 1. Just make sure you have the quest Luck Be With You done before you go there and grind. That is a quest that is given in Everlook by Witch Doctor Mawari, and this is basically a pre-quest for an item that you need to be able to loot those echoes. So what you want to do is you go to that Witch Doctor and Everlook, you do Luck Be With You, and once you have that quest completed, you can go either down south to the Frostmaul Giants and farm those for the Frostmaul echoes, or you stay on top in the north and you grind the Winterfall furbolgs. That's a pretty good income. Either you sell the stuff if you're like arranged, it's pretty lucrative, or you just help out guildies and give yours, you can double the echoes if you have someone who helps you and give yours to them, or you sell yours and they have their Jujus, or you get some Winterfall Firewater, sell those. There's a lot of stuff, and you can do it in a big group. That's the best part about it. So yeah, I hope this one helped you. I think I'm done for this day. Thank you very much for tuning in. The Twitch channel, I'm streaming more again. I'm upping the streaming game. Is in the description. I'd appreciate a follow, sub, or a follow, or a like on the video if you want. And if you have any questions, topics you want to have covered, post them in the comments below, and I will gladly talk about it. Yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I have been Mosen. Maybe you'll tune in next time for next MTA. I'll see you then. Bye bye.
Listen. Fuck off. Get out.